Donald Trump's federal election interference trial, one of the last chances to hold him accountable for the crimes of January 6th before the upcoming election.
To authorize the prosecution of a president for his official acts would open a Pandora's box from which this nation may never recover.
His lawyers stood before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, probably the second most important court in all the land, and before the nation and those three judges argued that a president can effectively do whatever he wants.
Imagine a president ordering a hit on his rival and claiming that's just part of the job. Sound crazy? Well, that's basically what Trump's lawyers argued at the Supreme Court. No joke. The Supremes just delivered a massive blow to Donald's I'm above the law fantasy world in a 6-3 smackdown. Even Trump's own appointees were like, nah bro, that's not how America works. Let's dig into why Orange Turd is probably rage tweeting on his golden toilet right now. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Remember when Trump thought he could literally get away with murder as president? Well, his legal team actually tried to convince the Supreme Court of this bonkers idea with straight faces. Talk about living in a fantasy world. Trump's entire defense strategy has been built on this crazy notion that presidents can do whatever the heck they want, even criminal stuff, and just slap an official business label on it. It's like if I robbed a bank and told the cops, sorry, this is my official business as a YouTube commentator. Yeah, not gonna fly.
Trump's defense in the election interference cases, where he argues, and his lawyers argue, that he enjoys executive privilege or immunity at the time the January 6 riots took place, well, then that means that he has the immunity that presidents typically enjoy. He also kind of fails to answer what Sotomayor is asking about in a way that makes her pleased with his take, right?
But here's where it gets really juicy. When Trump's lawyers showed up to the Supreme Court to make their case, the justices weren't just skeptical. They were practically rolling their eyes so hard they risked getting a collective migraine. The courtroom reportedly had this weird mix of bewilderment and secondhand embarrassment as the justices listened to these absurd claims. I mean, can you imagine being the stenographer trying to keep a straight face while typing this nonsense? Justice Sotomayor delivered what can only be described as a verbal knockout punch when she asked Trump's lawyer whether a president could order Navy SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival and still claim immunity. And boy oh boy, did Trump's legal team struggle to give a straight answer to that one. Sotomayor wasn't done there. Her voice was dripping with sarcasm as she continued piling on more scenarios, like a president organizing a military coup or taking bribes. She was basically saying, really? This is the hill you want to die on?
Justice Sonia Sotomayor grilled Trump's attorney John Sawyer on the notion of granting presidents absolute immunity.
A corrupt person, and he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him. Is that within his official acts that for which he can get immunity?
Previously, Sawyer had argued that the president could order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate one of his political rivals and not face any consequences for it.
The other justices got in on the action too, serving up increasingly ridiculous hypotheticals that exposed just how dangerous Trump's immunity claims really were. One justice even asked if a president could rob a bank and call it official presidential cash collection. I'm not making this up. And guess what? Trump's lawyers couldn't give coherent answers, making the whole immunity argument look as solid as a sandcastle at high tide. But the real chef's kiss moment came when Trump's own lawyer, DJJ, accidentally torpedoed their entire case. In what legal experts are calling the equivalent of scoring a touchdown for the opposing team, he admitted that some of Trump's actions as president were actually private and not covered by immunity. Oops, this completely contradicted the sweeping immunity claims Trump had been making for years. It's like going to court for stealing a car and your lawyer suddenly blurting out, well, my client definitely stole some cars, but not all the cars cars. Not exactly the defense strategy you want. This admission opened the floodgates for the justices to start questioning which actions could be considered official presidential duties and which were just Trump doing his Trump thing. Spoiler alert, plotting to overturn an election isn't in the presidential job description. This epic legal faceplant has completely destroyed Trump's delay strategy. See, the whole game plan was delay, delay, delay until everyone's too tired to care anymore. Ideally pushing his trials past the election when he might become president again and could pardon himself. Legal experts are now saying that this ruling has effectively blocked that path. This means Trump might actually have to face consequences like a regular citizen, which the research suggests is his personal nightmare. Imagine that, being held accountable for your actions. The horror.
As a matter of constitutional bedrock American law, there can be no criminal accountability for anything he does, no matter how violent or evil.
Could a president who ordered SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival who was not impeached, would he be subject to criminal prosecution?
If he were impeached and convicted first. And
So your answer is no.
As his lawyer was forced to concede having his political opponents murdered.
Could a president order SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? That's an official act in order to SEAL Team 6.
The Supreme Court's ruling confirmed what normal people already knew. Presidents aren't kings, and Trump can't hide behind some made-up immunity shield forever. It's basically the legal equivalent of telling a toddler that no, they can't have ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Rules exist for a reason, even if your name is on a bunch of buildings. Now, Trump's legal team is scrambling like cockroaches when the kitchen light comes on, trying to figure out which of his actions were official versus private. They're in this bizarre situation where they have to argue that some of his most questionable behaviors were somehow part of his presidential duties.
The question here was an arcane one, but it's what the case turned on, whether the Gun Control Act as applied to these types of kits. It doesn't mean that by kit, depending upon the type of kit, could there be an argument that it comes out from under the Gun Control Act? Yes. An interesting grouping here, not in the dissent. Alito and Thomas once again find a way to stand for the death and destruction in America. This is reproduced in the actual decision. At the top is an actual firearm. At the bottom is what gets sent to somebody that ordered one of these kits.
Good luck with that one, counselors. And here's our grand finale, folks. Turns out even Trump's hand-picked Supreme Court justices aren't the loyal puppets he expected them to be. While Orange Man was busy bragging about his judges, these robed rebels were secretly reading this weird document called the Constitution. What a plot twist! Brett Kavanaugh and the crew apparently decided their oath to America was slightly more important than making Donnie happy. They looked at Trump's immunity claims and basically said, yeah, that's gonna be a no from me, dog. Trump's probably throwing ketchup at Mar-a-Lago walls right now, shocked that the judges he installed didn't return the favor. Imagine that. Judges putting country over cult leader. Absolutely revolutionary concept.